Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Isaiah Rial. Welcome to the Real Sense Retirement Podcast. Wherever you may be, however you may be listening, thank you so much for making me a part of your day. In today's episode, I want to go over two things with you. As I speak right now is June 12th. And for the last, let's say, couple of weeks, so more so for the last month, markets have picked up tremendously from where we were at the peak of the, I would say, fear of the coronavirus. We've recouped the losses from the markets, but in the last couple of days, markets were down close to 6 to 7% yesterday overall. So we saw some volatility, quite a bit of it. So in today's episode, I want to go over two things with you. Number one, just address what's happening right now with the stock markets, especially with the coronavirus. And I know right now a lot of people have been keeping their eye on all the protests and everything else. And hey, that's definitely important. However, I know if you look at the news, the newspapers, everything else, it was about COVID and everything else, for the longest time. And now for the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's been about something else. And so, it's COVID, the economy's sort of been off the minds of a lot of people, but as of this week, people are starting to go back to work, stores are starting to reopen, and so now it's starting to become a part of everyone's mind in the sense of, hey, what's going to happen next now with coronavirus? And so I want to discuss that with you, number one. And then the second thing I want to go over with you is share a story with you of a recent client of mine and why it's so important to have an estate plan. So let's begin here. So let's talk about what's been happening with the markets right now. Well, right now, markets are positive for the year. However, we've had some extreme volatility here, specifically the last couple of days. So let's put this stuff into perspective. Number one, markets love certainty. It wants to know what's going to happen, and in a perfect world, it wants to know when it's going to happen and when and where it's going to happen. And so right now, our world isn't like that right now. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. And I can think of, three major life events that's happening to all of us right now that there's not certainty in. Number one is we're still going through this pandemic, COVID-19. I'm asking myself this question, I'm sure you are too, is, when is life going to be semi-normal again? I don't know about normal, but at least semi-normal, where, perhaps, and who knows when that may be, we can sit down at a restaurant comfortably. Perhaps if we go to the gym, can we go to a gym in the next couple of months? Can we go see a movie? Whatever that may be for you, is life going to be semi-normal? I don't really think we have an answer to that just quite yet. The second thing right now that's a major life event, same thing with COVID, is when are we going to have a vaccine and when are we going to have a treatment? We don't have treatments just quite yet. They're still testing that. And we definitely don't have a vaccine. That adds uncertainty to the markets because we don't know that answer. We don't know when there's going to be a vaccine. We don't know when there's going to be treatments to help people who get infected with COVID-19. And then the third thing I could think of when it comes to life events is that we have uncertainty with is it's an election year. With everything happening, 2020 has definitely been one year for the record books. A lot of people are forgetting, in 4 months from now, 5 months from now, we're having an election. So we don't know who our president's going to be, who our leader of our country and our economy is going to be. We have to wait 4 or 5 months for that. So, there's some major life events happening right now that no one knows the answer to, and in this exact moment. So because of that, there's going to continue to be volatility in the markets because, like I mentioned, the markets like certainty. And right now, there's not certainty with some major things happening in our world right now. And so, in fact, I discussed this in a recent Real Sense retirement show. So let me share that with you.
No, because markets went down so quickly and they're picking back up, the last thing I want to share with you is make sure you have a plan now and moving forward for yourself. I know I'm going to continue to repeat myself in these videos, but it's important. If you're conservative, well, okay, focus on the fixed income and that kind of stuff and make sure you feel comfortable with that. If you're in between, make sure you have the right investments of investments that help with equities and also to fixed income. If we're aggressive, make sure you have the right plan in place moving forward, because my own opinion is that we're not done with this volatility. We have a lot of room to grow, and then also too, we're forgetting it's an election year. So there's going to be some more volatility ahead. So we have to be prepared for that at all times. So I always want to share with you, make sure you have the proper plan in place based off of your goals and based off of your risk tolerance. So always make sure you have some type of agenda for yourself.
So, as investors, what can we do? What can we do right now with what's happening in the world, in the economy, with our own monies if we have monies invested? Well, number one, and again, before I share this, these are my opinions and my opinions only. So, if you like some questions asked, talk to your financial professional, talk with the individual who helps you with your investments, or if that's yourself, have a conversation, sit down with yourself to weigh the pros and cons. If you're a client of mine listening to this, hey, feel free, let's have a chat if we haven't done so already, or I can share this with you. But here's what we can do, and these are just my thoughts, is as investors, well, I'd say for the next 6 to 12 months, take things slow. If you're looking to invest, first and foremost, ask yourself, what's your time horizon? I've mentioned that in previous episodes as well. So ask yourself, with these monies I'm looking to invest, what is the goal for myself? Is this money's going to be money I'm going to use in 20, 30 years from now? Well, maybe what's happening right now is not going to have a whole lot of effect on you if you're looking to achieve something in 20 to 30 years from now. For many of my clients, we're retirees. We rely on these monies for income. We rely on these monies for growth. But I would say probably number one's income on that end. You know, Ask yourself, do I have the risk tolerance, the risk appetite to be able to put monies to work right now with what's happening? Or should I be maybe perhaps a little more conservative? So, if you're looking to invest, I would suggest invest your money slowly right now and ask yourself what your time horizon is going to be. So, for example, maybe perhaps take a look at short-term bonds, money market funds, and also two CDs for that matter. If you don't want your safe money, your conservative money, being fluctuated a whole heck of a lot with right now with what's happening in the markets. For equities, look for the strongest sectors. And you know me, if you listen to my content before, I talk about this quite a bit. I don't like to guess and hope, something's going to go up. I need, well, I needed to try to have some certainty for myself. Granted, nothing's as certain with the markets, but if you look at the numbers long enough, you can see that, hey, you know what? There's some strong trends out there. So for equities, look at the strongest sectors. So right now, as an example, I'm looking at technology and I'm looking at healthcare. Both of these sectors did well before the coronavirus pandemic, but now it's a little bit of a new world we're living in, even more so right now. Technology, you better believe we're using technology left and right. I'm using it more than ever. I'm sure you are too as well. And even in our companies and our work, we're finding new and different ways to use and embrace technology in our everyday lives. And then healthcare. I've been talking about healthcare for quite some time. I've been sharing that with my clients. If you follow my content, you may have seen me discuss this, in my other Real Sense Retirement episodes. Healthcare was doing pretty darn well before the coronavirus pandemic, but you better believe it now. We're all wearing masks. We're washing our hands. We're being more diligent with our health. And because of that, there perhaps may be a more demand for healthcare services, pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, all of that now and moving forward. So those are some examples perhaps of equities that, hey, you know what? At least there's going to be demand for those sectors moving forward. So, this recovery too as well has been quick. The markets have picked back up in let's say less than 90-day period of time. That's unheard of. And as investors, we haven't seen that. The markets fell by 35 to 40%, and who would have thought that in a 2 or 3 month period of time, we'd be back up to where we were before that if you didn't touch your monies. That's just unheard of. And so as investors, we need to put that into perspective too as well, is that that's not very normal. It takes longer usually. When we went to the great financial crisis, it took years before we got back to the top of where we were during the great financial crisis. In this case, it took us less than 100 days. So, we have to put that in perspective too as well. I've been saying it's going to be a U-shaped recovery where it's going to take some time for us to pick back up. As of right now, and of course, no one knows this, but in fact, I think I was wrong. it's been a V-shaped recovery. It's been straight back up. Of course, again, there's going to be some uncertainty. I think there's going to be volatility. So who knows, if that answer will last here in the next couple of months. But markets have picked back up. And so as investors, my guess is going to be that we're going to continue to have volatility until we get some of those major life questions answered, specifically about COVID-19, the treatments of vaccines, and normal life for ourselves and for the election. So as investors, take your time, be diligent. If you have questions, feel free. I'm always here to answer any questions if you want to message me or email me. But those are my 2 cents on what's happening right now with the markets. Now, let me transition into really the basis of what I want to talk to you about today. And that's talking about estate planning. So I want to share a story with you. I have a client that just recently passed away. That individual, they had a heart attack, and thankfully, they had a estate plan in place, and they got that done about a year ago. And it was a blessing because, yes, their loved ones are mourning. I went over to see their loved ones, and it was tough. But the blessing here is that they had an estate plan. They had a trust in place. In that trust, they said exactly what was needed. But the scary thing is this guy was in good health. He had a heart attack. In fact, I talked to him that same day that he had a heart attack. And so, it was a grave reminder that, hey, you know what? Life is very valuable and very precious, but we don't know when that time's going to come for us. And if we have family specifically, and if you don't have an estate plan, my listeners, clients, if you're listening, this is something that needs to be discussed and needs to be talked about. Of course, no one can force you to do anything, but an estate plan, holy smokes, that can save you a lot of heartbreak for your family, a lot of stress, and perhaps also too a lot of money. And so I want to share this with you is that this client passed away. He had a trust. Fantastic. If you have questions about estate plan, give me a call, message me. Of course, as full disclosure, I am not an estate attorney. I am not a estate professional. We can lead you in the right direction if you want to. I just want to share with you a couple examples and stories that I've witnessed here recently. And so with this client, he had a trust. He said exactly how he wants his monies divided up. Fantastic. We're going to follow that pattern and pass it on to his loved ones according to his wishes. But here's the thing. I went over to the family's house and we were discussing talking next steps. But they didn't know what his expenses were. He was a surviving widow. He had no idea no one knew what the expenses were. So they're scrounging around for utilities, phone bill, medications, everything else. And, I was thinking to myself, even for myself, holy smokes, this could be anyone. This could be you. This could be me. In fact, I was thinking about my own parents. But I was thinking about myself as I don't know what their expenses are. I mean, I think I have an idea of where to look to see what their expenses are, and they're business owners. So it's not just personal expenses, it's, business expenses as well. I got a little scared. I don't know what their expenses are. Where do I even look? Who do I call? For the business, who do I call for that? And so, it brought a light bulb into my head is that I need to share this with you. For my listeners, for my clients, if you do not have an estate plan, and let's say you have a house, you have collectibles, you want to make sure your assets, everything you worked for in your life gets passed on the exact way that you want them to upon your passing, then I highly suggest you discuss with your loved ones, with a professional. If you need my help, I can lead you in the right direction for an estate plan. Because, it's going to be a tough time already for your family, for your loved ones upon your passing. But if there's a trust in place and you have a list of all your expenses and debts, if there is any, and what next steps you want happening, that's going to make it a heck of a lot easier for your family. Because not only are they going to be mourning and having a tough time, but they're going to be having to go through this and figuring out, what does he have cost for? What does she have cost for? What do I need to turn off? What do I need to cancel? And so you have all that in place for them upon your passing. That's, again, just a beautiful gift you can leave to your loved ones. And on top of that, if you have a trust or some type of thing, will or trust, that can possibly eliminate probate. So the courts don't get access to it. The government doesn't decide who gets what. Your estate plan decides who gets what. And that saves a whole heck of a lot in legal fees and probation costs. And that could be a very good thing to help save monies and pass on more monies to your, from your estate to your loved ones upon their passing. So, that's what I want to share with you today. Update on the markets, share with you about estate planning. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, please feel free to message me, email me. If you want to call me, feel free. I'm always here as a resource. My friends, my listeners, I hope you're doing well. Stay safe. Continue to stay safe during this coronavirus time. And hey, please enjoy your weekend. Start going to outdoors for the beginning of summer here. So I look forward to talking with you soon. Hey, take care. Thanks so much.